All right, we are back here at Ryan Carr's Vertical Accessory Apartments. As we can see by this video footage here, there is a lot of change. All the drywall is up. Everything's being sanded, mudded. We got some flooring going in. And Ryan, tell us a little bit about what's going on today.
Yeah, so we're going for the tour. We've been pretty busy here. Got some flooring down, got some paint done, the ceilings are done. We're starting to trim the doors, some more of the cosmetic aspects to this reno. It is a live site today, so you'll hear some of the trades working in the background. But over and behind me, we got the bathroom like we talked about last time, private laundry, stackables, that kind of stuff. Somebody asked me about flooring earlier on, so I just wanted to touch on that. What we're using here is a laminate product. It's gray. I like the gray colors, kind of neutral tones. This in particular is a 12 mil laminate with no underpad. In the basement, we use the same product, but with an underpad. We can talk about that when we get down there. But it's just a quick block floor, pretty basic. $1.50, $2 a square foot, that kind of thing. So not high-end finishes, but if you color match, you can make non-high-end finishes look high-end. So it's a pretty cool aspect of making a property look good and function at the same time. In behind me, we've got the electrical panel. I don't think we touched on that before. In this particular property, we've got 2 hydro panels, 2 meters, that kind of thing. We'll show you where the meter bases are situated outside after. But in this case, we've got 2 100 amp services, right? These are breakers. I think it's a Siemens panel, Ede panel. For some of the breakers that we do put in here, the ESA code has recently changed within the last year or so to require, what are they called? Arc fault breakers. So you need arc fault breakers in general circuits, bedrooms, that kind of stuff. They're a lot more expensive than a traditional breaker, but that's the new code, so you gotta have it. Right, so in this case, we definitely will. There's getting a 24-inch door here, just a standard 6-panel door to hide that and make it look kind of nice. Over on this side, in the bathroom, we've got it kind of half built. In this case, we're doing a tub surrounding quad. Over here, we're just doing a standard tub surround over green drywall. New toilet, new floors, all new plumbing in behind the walls, and your basic Home Depot vanity. Nothing too crazy.
Very nice. I noticed it's the same paint color kind of throughout.
Yeah, we do the same paint color in every single house that we do. One, it lowers waste, so you can carry materials from site to site. Nothing left over, right? You can always reuse it. And 2, it's really maintenance friendly moving forward, because when tenants move in, they erect the walls, they do things that you don't like. So whenever you have to fix something up, it makes it a lot easier for that. And the last thing is it's just more economical. Like when you're buying the same thing in volume, you can get it cheaper and you know exactly what your cost is going to be, so you can really budget for your rental.
Nice. Little selfish question I'm going to ask you here.
Right.
Maybe we'll include it, maybe we won't. So I'm looking into doing some paint jobs right now around rental properties and stuff, and I always had to make the decision between the different finishes like eggshell, sheen, and whatnot. Do you have any idea or preference on that? I feel like the sheen or the shiny one is kind of better for cleaning, but does that really matter with a rental property, or do you just kind of go with the basic matte finish it looks like here? Yeah,
this one here is actually a flat finish. The more sheen you add to paint, the more expensive it gets. So for example, flat, I believe, is the lowest of the sheens. Then you work your way through satin, eggshell, semi-gloss, high gloss, that kind of stuff. So like for doors and trim and stuff like that, a lot of people use semi-gloss. That's what we use because it is a little bit more durable. And that maybe is your wear points, like in doorways and door jams and stuff like that. I made the mistake, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but I started off using flat paint it just happened like that. That was just the color we got. So we just continued on using that same paint moving forward. I think if I had to change, maybe a slight sheen just for durability or wipeability might be a better way to go. But I mean, you know what? If somebody runs into a wall with a dresser, it doesn't matter what paint is on there unless it's like Line-X or Lino Guard or something, right? Like you're going through. So for the most part, if it's a repaint, it's going to be a repaint no matter what paint you use.
That's true.
In this case, the flat saves us a bit of money.
Yeah, I think flat might be the way to go because I have used sheen in the past, or the shiny kind, and with the idea that it'll be washable or easier to wash. But it also, because the light hits it more, you can see every little contour or every dent in the wall. So, and like you said, and then when you do have to repaint it, if you repaint it with the wrong finish, then that part is going to show up even more, right?
Yeah.
So,
and that's the important thing too, because we're using the same color, like using the same sheen, just on that topic, is also something people should really look out for. Because I mean, like if you can paint the same color in a different sheen and it will look like a totally different color altogether. So just keeping it consistent. You always know the color gray or blue or tan, whatever you'd like to use is the same, and it's easy.
Very nice.
Yeah.
All right, want to check out downstairs?
Yep.
Might be some action going on down there.
Right, so what we got going down here, I guess a little bit of change since the last time we were in the basement. We're drywalled, we're mudded, everything's in good shape, a little bit of dust going just from the sanding, but other than that, we're not painted yet, but we're going to prime first. So what I typically do is we'll buzz around the house with a spray gun, spray prime everything, main floor, ceilings, base boards, like whatever you got to do, whether it's a reno or a flip or new construction like this. So we'll spray prime everything, make sure it's good and flat. If there's any touch-ups after the first coat of primer, we'll go around, have a look and see what we need to touch up just with a skim of mud or something like that, and we're basically ready for paint.
Nice. So this unit has its own furnace, its own hot water tank. I guess you don't really need to, do you need to fire separate that room now or not because it's all part of the same unit?
You know what, you still do. It's still a fire, or what do they call it? It's still a fire separation anyway. It's still a concern for the city. They want to make sure that the place is compliant. So we still do it. Over here in the corner that you can see, that's where the single water meter is from the city main in. We also are adding a second water meter, which will be located there. So when the bill does come every 3 months or whatever it is, we can deduct as to what unit has used what amount of water, work the bills back that way. Yeah, so we're in the back half of the vertical split now. We just talked about the front unit, now we're in the back. Again, same finishes, same paint color, everything is the same back here, just kind of a mirrored model with a slightly different layout. So, like we talked about before, we're gonna have the standard kitchen here, a bit of a horseshoe layout with a breakfast bar. We get the breakfast bar, the stove where the wiring is, the vent that exhausts to the exterior. In this case, we're going to have, we had to have a vent for the HVAC in the kitchen, just given by all the number of windows and doors and stuff in here. This one's actually going to be under the cabinets. We're going to have to kick it out, just because of kind of how the layout was with the joist cavities and stuff downstairs. That was the only spot that we could put it. So some of the things you got to get a little bit creative on when you're working in either tight square footage or dealing with beams or LVLs or different furnace locations, that kind of thing. You got to really think about not just where the furnace is going to go, but how you're going to get the HVAC to where it has to be totally finished, right? Over here, plumbing obviously for the sink, that's kind of cool, and the fridge over on this side. The bulkhead will extend right across the top to go right over so that we get a nice clean look. And then when we're all done, you guys can come back and see that we've got all brand new cabinets. We just use big box retail stuff. Nothing too fancy, nothing too high end, but it gets the job done. It's repeatable, economical, that kind of thing. And we'll have a nice subway tile backsplash for you.
Very nice, very nice.
All right, over on this side, again, stackable laundry. Pretty straightforward there. We'll throw a door on it just to keep it nice and clean. It's central to the house. It's on the main floor. It's nice and bright. Nobody's in a cavity. Nobody's doing laundry in a hole. So it's a good spot to have it. Local. If you got kids or anything like that, it's close to the living space as well, so you can keep an eye on your kids while you're doing your laundry. Back in this corner, just like we talked about in the front, we've got a 100 amp electrical panel. And again, that's piped from the outside, from the meter base at the front of the property, all the way to the back, and then inside with the door across, just covering it up, making it look nice and clean.
All right, want to head downstairs?
Yeah. So what we got going here, this is the second set of stairs that you have to add to make it a true vertical split, right? We've done so, we've lowered the landing a little bit, we've added a second set of stairs coming down here, we've brought it back as far as possible, within the legal limits as far as tread height goes, to make sure that we stay back from the beam, right? You've got to have your 6'5" when you hit the bottom of the stairs, so that's really important. Over on this side, this would be the tighter of the two units, but it's still reasonably spacious for the 750 square feet that we are working with, right? Standard tub, full-size tub surround, right? Again, vanity, toilet with an outswing door. We'll throw a mirror up just to make it kind of nice, right? Nothing too crazy in there. And then again, the two different bedrooms over on this side. All right, this is the larger of the two bedrooms. This one has a closet over here. This one has the furnace and hot water tank on this side, right? And I think this one's about 10 by 12, 12 by 12, something like that, with the other one being slightly smaller than this. This will be cool. Check this out.
Give it.
Okay, so what we got going here, you'll see that we got a gas furnace and an electric hot water tank. By code, you're not allowed to have a fuel-fired appliance underneath a set of stairs. You can have it under a landing, but not a set of stairs. So typically we would go with all gas appliances. In this case, we had to convert to electric so that it could go underneath the stairs. So those are some of the tips and tricks that, that's something I didn't even know when we started this project. You know, some of the things that you kind of have to learn on the fly to make it work. One other thing that's important with electric tanks, if you don't have the head height for a gas tank, or the ceiling height rather, an electric tank is a good way to go. It's a lot shorter. The tank itself is the same, but the actual power unit on the top doesn't exist to vent the fumes out because there are no fumes, right? It's quiet. You don't hear any clicking of the valves and stuff like that, especially if it's in your bedroom. So those are, a couple other things to consider. But in this case, the electric tank was the only one that we could consider, so we had no choice. But it'll work out perfect. It'll tuck in there nice. And then again, the gas furnace is direct vent to the exterior because we're joining a bedroom, so that we meet all the local codes.
Lots of problems to be solved.
Yeah, I love that stuff though. You know, it's amazing the things that you learn as you progress through a project. We've done this a number of times, and there's still stuff you don't know, right? So working with your inspector, working with the local building companies and suppliers and city staff and stuff like that it's always a challenge, but it's a lot of fun. Okay, so we're outside the vertical split now. What I'm going to do is take you around the side of the house and show you some of the mechanicals that are on the exterior that make the inside function so well. You can see the telephone poles coming down the street. In typical residential construction, you've got two ways to get power to the house. One is from underground, which is kind of the more modern way to do it, like post-1970s, that kind of thing. 1950s, 1960s or earlier, it's usually coming from above ground up the telephone poles. So if you go through an older neighborhood, you will tell that it's an older neighborhood because not only is the design of the homes typical to that era, but also the power is coming in from overhead. Modern construction, underground is a little bit cleaner, it makes the neighborhood look nicer, less wires hanging out of the sky and that kind of thing. So that's usually preferred. Now over here, this is where the second driveway will be going, right? We've had a curb cut permit done. The curb is actually being cut already. We can show you that as well. But over on this side, we're going to have 2 or 3 car parking right from the street, which is pretty uncommon for a duplex conversion, right? Usually you've got like 1 or maybe 2 parking spots for the accessory unit and then 1 or 2 parking spots for the main. But in this case, we'll have lots of parking. So here, 2 meter bases, that allows us to have the 2 panels inside, right? That way we've got separate buildings for each tenant, front unit, rear unit, totally separate. You can see the electrician has piped it right from the meter base on the exterior of the house into the house at the back for the rear unit, and then piped it up the side of the brick for the front unit. What we've got in the exterior here, we talked about direct venting inside the house. 2 of these are for the furnace, 2 of them are for the hot water tank. Over here we've got the gas meter, and again 2 meters. This would be the new one that's put in. This is the existing one. This house already had gas service, which was great. All Enbridge had to do was come and throw the second meter on, and we were good to go. There was plenty of supply coming from the street, so that was really important. That was the old, what was that? That was an old fireplace exhaust chimney kind of thing, so we covered that in on the inside, and we'll leave it there just so we don't have to re-parch the foundation. And it's not really an eyesore, so it's okay. Old AC unit. This house does not have AC now. We've removed this. We'll reuse it somewhere else, disposed of the refrigerant, or save the refrigerant appropriately because it is expensive, and that can be reused. And again, this is just some of the gas supplies and exhaust and venting and stuff like that that services the appliance inside. This here, the water's not on right now, but what this is called is a frost-proof hose bib. This valve itself is what you typically see regardless of whether or not the frost-proof setup is used, right? Normally you have a hose inside of the house, turn it off in the winter, turn it on in the summer, right? In this case, we want to go as maintenance-free and maintenance-friendly as possible. So this valve actually extends a good foot and a half inside the home to stay warm. The valve itself that actually stops the water is on the warm side. This side over here has a vacuum breaker, so it always drains out without pulling vacuum from inside the house, right? And it never freezes, so you never have to come and turn it off. You should still put a valve inside in case you have to service it, but that's one less thing that you have to do if you've got multiple properties moving forward. One thing you can take off your list. This window here will be taken out for the egress window. That's a requirement by the city, like we talked about inside. It's too bad because the window's in good shape, but maybe we can save that, reuse it for another project. And then back here, finally, this is where the deck will be going. So the driveway will continue what we just walked up across the back side of the house, right, to a deck where the existing ledger board roughly is. When we purchased the property, that's how the ledger board looked. We'll replace it with something new, set of steps, little 6x8 landing or something like that, and then a nice double French door going into the house so somebody can actually move their furniture in without having to slide open an old, crusty, nasty looking door. So something fresh, something new.